Andy, you are unmuted.
Okay. So can everybody see the book? Yes, you can answer me, but I can see in my little square. So Matzah, Below Stairs. Author Susan Lynn Meyer, illustrated by Meti Engel. It's hard to show the pictures, right? On the first night of Passover in apartment 4B, the doorbell rang over and over. Miriam Mouse could smell soup simmering above her. But under the floorboards, or below stairs, as the Mouse family called it, things were not so happy. "We can't celebrate Passover without matzah," Mama Mouse squeaked. "There won't be anything to remind us of our time. Our mouse ancestors left Egypt in too big of a hurry for the bread to rise." I'm just closing my door 1 second. Miriam whiskers drooped. She loved the crunchy flat matzah they ate on the holiday. Foraging was her job, but she hasn't found any matzah for her family. "It isn't your fault, Miriam," Grandpa Mouse said. "The Winklers usually leave lots of food around. It's just too bad they put the matzah in that new tin this year." Nobody could chew through that. Uh-oh. Miriam slipped away and climbed to her favorite spot behind Eli's chair. Eli often dropped food. Maybe he had dropped some matzah, but there wasn't a single matzah crumb on the floor. The Passover Seder above stairs was ready to begin. Eli's mother broke a piece of matzah and wrapped the afikomen in an embroidered napkin. "Dad will hide it, and you can look for it at the end of the Seder, Eli." Let me try and show the pictures a little better. Someone always hid the afikomen as part of the Mouse Seder too, and searching for it with her cousins was Miriam's favorite part of Passover. But without matzah, there would be no Seder for the Mouse family. As Miriam watched, Eli's dad slipped the afikomen off the table. Uh-oh. Miriam darted behind the bookcase. She heard footsteps, and suddenly a hand slid the afikomen under the bookcase. Miriam's tail quivered with excitement. A huge piece of matzah was right in front of her. Oh, so lucky. The feet walked away, and Miriam heard Eli's family finishing the Passover meal. "We need the afikomen to finish the Seder," said Eli's dad. "Can you find it, Eli?" As Miriam pushed and shoved, trying to squeeze the matzah into the mouse hole, she heard Eli running around the apartment, searching for the afikomen. A face appeared on the other side of the bookcase. Eli looked at Miriam. Miriam looked at Eli. "Hello, Mouse," whispered Eli. "Do you want the afikomen?" It was Miriam's big chance, but Eli needed the afikomen too. Without it, his family wouldn't be able to finish the Seder. Miriam thought for a moment. Then she hopped on the afikomen and snapped it in half. Eli reached for a piece. "You keep the napkin," he whispered, "to help pull it." "Thanks," squeaked Miriam. Eli winked and disappeared back into the living room. When Miriam appeared below stairs with the enormous piece of matzah, Grandpa Mouse chuckled in delight. "Enough for the whole week of Passover. Well done, Miriam." From above stairs came voices. "Here's the afikomen," Eli said. "Where's the rest of it?" asked Eli's dad. "And where's the napkin I embroidered?" asked Eli's grandmother. Eli shrugged. "Not there." From above stairs, Miriam heard laughter, munching sounds, and singing. "Hurry and set the table, Miriam," said Mama Mouse. "It's almost time for our Seder to begin." Soon all the mouse relatives had arrived. Miriam brought her cousins into the room. "Ooh," squeaked Chloe. "Are we going to play camp out?" squealed Amira. "Sort of," said Miriam dreamily. "After dinner, we're going to pretend to be Israelite mice escaping from Egypt and camping in the desert. Then I have a thank you present to deliver." Oh, thank you, Eli. What does she have here? And she gave it to Eli. Wonder how she got it to him. I guess they pulled it all the way up behind the bookcase. The end.
That was a great story. Okay. Fantastic. Thank you, Randee. So I'd like to read a story called It's Passover, Grover, Sesame Street. And it goes like this. Just by the way, a trick. On your screen, there are two choices. There is active speaker. On mine, it's the top left. I don't know where is yours. Active speaker or gallery view. So gallery view shows everybody on one screen. Active speaker shows only one person, the person who's speaking. So if you wanted to see the picture of the book larger, you can just click on active speaker instead of gallery. And what you click on does not affect what anybody else sees. Everyone can choose their own. All right, just a little zoom tip. Grover really liked the Jewish holiday of Passover. He liked that it came in the spring, when the weather was warm and the flowers were blooming. Of course, he did not live in Montreal. He liked that he got to eat lots of matzah. Is matzah not marvelously munchy and crunchy? Asked Grover. He liked hunting for the afikomen, a special piece of matzah when the meal was over. He especially liked sitting around the big table with family and friends for the Seder, the holiday meal, and hearing the story of Passover. But do you know what I like most of all? Grover asked his mommy as they cleaned and cooked together. There is room for everybody at the Passover Seder. You're right, Grover, said his mommy. That's because of something in the Haggadah, the Passover book we read from at the Seder. Let all who are hungry come and eat. Grover's cousins, Shira and Josh, arrived, followed by Big Bird, Cookie Monster, Oscar, Elmo, and Abby Kadabi. Everyone had a seat at the Seder. What a group! Exclaimed Oscar. It's big and noisy with lots of elbow bumping. Perfect. The more the merrier, agreed Big Bird. You mean the bigger the crowd, the grouchier I get, Oscar corrected him. He tried hard not to smile. Of course, this year, Oscar will be happy because there will be small crowds at all of our Seders. Okay, at least Oscar will be happy. There were blessings to say, questions to ask, songs to sing, and special foods to taste. Elmo loves apples and nuts, said Elmo, reaching for a bowl. That's called charoses, Elmo, said Josh. Whoa, this stuff is great, said Oscar, tasting something super spicy. Those are bitter herbs, Grover told him. They are a reminder of the bitterness of slavery. Here's Grover eating the maror, the bitter herbs. Grover and his guests ate and ate until they were as big and round as the fluffy matzah balls floating in the chicken soup. Finally, it was time for dessert and the afikomen and the end of the Seder. And Cookie Monster added, now Passover, really happy. And I hope that you have a very happy Passover. Okay, now another story from Randee.
Dinosaur on Passover. You guys have dinosaurs in your house for Passover? Whoa. Written by Diane Levin Reichberger. Pictures by Jason Wolf. There's a dino knocking on my door because Passover is near. He wants to sweep the chametz out. He's in the way, I fear. Does everybody know what chametz is? It's bread and cookies and other items that we're not allowed to eat on Passover, right? He grates a hunk of horseradish, cries buckets full of tears when I tell him how the Hebrews slaved for Pharaoh all those years. Look, they put him to work. What a cute dinosaur. We want to start the Seder, but Dino can't be found. He's in the pantry juggling matzah boxes all around. That silly dinosaur. He helps me sing the questions. He knows that there are 4. Tonight, why is there matzah and bitter herbs we call maror? Why do we dip our veggies twice, and why do we recline? And Dino also wants to know when he can drink his wine. Uh-oh, he can't. When Dino hears how Moses begged to let my people go, he stomps his feet like Pharaoh, yelling, no, 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 no! We tell how Pharaoh suffered. God was angry as can be, sending hail and darkness, frogs and bugs, till Pharaoh said, go free! Dino munches on the matzah, dips his pinky in his cup, lets drops of wine fall everywhere, and tries to wipe them up. Well, look, his pinky is bigger than our pinkies. He makes a big mess. Mommy doesn't look so happy. He searches for the afikomen. The books fly left and right. I have to help him find it so it doesn't take all night. He runs to open up the door to see Elijah there, but when the neighbor's dog runs in, it gives us quite a scare. Oh no! Before the Seder's over, Dino's curled up in a heap. We'll have to end without him because he's fallen fast asleep because he's made such a mess there. That's the end of the Seder.
Oh, that's a great story.
That's a
great story. Okay, so I have one last story. Now, this is not a Jewish book. It is a story called The Brownstone by Paula Scher. And it is kind of relevant because it's about lots of people living together in the same place, and it gets a little crowded. And maybe in your house, it's getting a little crowded. But this is a really great story. First of all, just to tell you, brownstone refers to a kind of apartment building in New York City that is made out of brown stones. And they're very common in New York. And so the word brownstone is another word for a small apartment building, usually 3 or 4 stories tall. Mr. Bear was walking home to his quiet little brownstone when he noticed a familiar chill in the air. It was time for the family to take their long winter nap. The bears lived on the first floor. Miss Cat lived across the hall. The pigs and the mice lived on the second floor. And the kangaroos and Mr. Owl, the landlord, lived on the top floor. That night, the bears finished dinner, slipped into their pajamas, and snuggled into bed. Mr. Bear set the alarm for March and turned out the light when do, re, meow sounded from across the hall. What is that noise? Asked Mr. Bear. We will never get to sleep. Mr. Bear knocked on Mr. Owl's door, startling out of his chair. Crash! What can I do for you, Mr. Bear? It's Miss Cat. She's too loud and we can't sleep, said Mr. Bear. Perhaps the pigs will change apartments with you. Then you would have the mice next door. They are nice and quiet. The pigs were quite willing to change apartments with the bears. They always wanted to live on the ground floor. Soon the staircase was busy. The bears moved up the stairs. The pigs moved down the stairs. Before long, all was quiet again. The pigs cooked dinner, the scent wafting across the hall. The bears climbed into their beds once more and were all falling asleep when thump, thump, thumpity thump sounded over their heads. What is that noise? Growled Mr. Bear. What is that smell? Cried Miss Cat. Mr. Bear, Miss Cat marched up to Mr. Owl's door. Knock, knock, knock. Crash! Mr. Owl was startled out of his chair once more. What can I do for you, Mr. Bear, Miss Cat? It's the kangaroos, said Mr. Bear. They're louder than Miss Cat. It's the pigs, said Miss Cat. Their cooking smells awful. Mr. Owl had an idea. Soon the staircase was busy again. Mr. Owl moved across the hall to the kangaroo's apartment. The kangaroos and the mice all moved down one floor. The pigs moved upstairs to Mr. Owl's old apartment, and Miss Cat moved across the hall to where the pigs had just left. The bears stayed put. Everyone was settled. The bears went back to bed. Upstairs, the pigs were eating. Mr. Owl was reading. On the second floor, the kangaroos were dancing. The bears were sleeping. Downstairs, Miss Cat was cleaning and the mice were thinking about dinner when thump, thump, thumpity thump. What is that noise? The mice ran into the hallway to see what was happening and saw their new neighbor across the hall. Miss Cat was thinking about dinner too. The mice ran upstairs to see Mr. Owl. Tap, 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 crash. What can I do for you, Mr. Mouse? Asked Mr. Owl. We can't live across from Miss Cat, squeaked Mr. Mouse. And we still can't sleep, roared Mr. Bear, coming up the stairs. Once again, the staircase was busy. The bears changed apartments with the pigs so that no one lived above them. Mr. Owl switched apartments with the mice so that they were as far away as possible from Miss Cat. Mr. Owl sank into his armchair with a sigh of relief when thump, thump, thumpity thump, crash. What's all that noise? Shouted Mr. Owl. The bears want to sleep. Miss Cat wants to sing. The mice want not to be eaten. The pigs want to eat. The kangaroos want to dance. And all I want is peace and quiet. Everyone was quiet while Mr. Owl worked out a solution. Just when it seemed they might all have to move from their beloved little brownstone, Mr. Owl shouted, I've got it. The staircase was very busy. The kangaroos moved across from Miss Cat. The mice moved across from the pigs. Mr. Owl moved back to his old apartment, and the bears moved across the hall. The bears snuggled into bed, and Mr. Owl settled into his reading chair. Soon the only sounds on the top floor were soft snores. On the second floor, the pigs invited their old neighbors over for dinner. And on the first floor, Miss Cat and the kangaroos discovered their mutual love for music and sang and danced the night away. But eventually, even the first floor called it a night, and the little brownstone was quiet. Okay, so I just want to unmute everyone for a minute. So just to be able to say hello, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Randee, for joining me. It's great to be with you. And we've hoped you've enjoyed, and we will certainly do other things in the days to come.